Let's freaking go. I am so happy for you, Arkansas Razorback fans. You finally exercised those Auburn Tiger demons. I understand you blew them out the last time you were there, but so many of you have residuals from the 2020 Bo Nix debacle all the way back to a decade before in 2010. What an impressive performance, and we'll look forward to Texas A&M today as well. So, a lot of you have questions about not only Taylen Green, but what the heck is happening with Lukas? What do we expect out of the offense for the rest of the season? And can Arkansas legitimately turn this season into a bowl eligibility season? Because Auburn might simply be terrible. I will say this, okay? And I'm looking at you right now, there were a lot of coaches and just people in the industry, whether it was media or coaching buddies, analysts that are out there, that were very happy to sing the praises of Sam Pittman, but they were even happier to throw the guy that everyone loves to hate, Hugh Freeze, under the bus because of what he had to say about the quarterbacks after the game. So it was very interesting because there were so many Arkansas fans that wanted to win this game. Also because you don't like Hugh Freeze. Huh? 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 So it was a really, really, really impressive performance altogether. Now, the big breaking news from today is Rashad Dubinion was suspended by Arkansas. Um, Look, this happens, and is there something behind the scenes going on with him? I don't know, but if he was an actual relevant member of the team, he would not be suspended right now. Number one, his attitude or whatever the case may be might be a little bit better. But number two, Arkansas wouldn't be as gung ho in suspending him, if that makes sense, right? If he was an actual key contributor, do you really think they would be suspending him for something off the field unless it's truly nefarious? Probably not. But the truth is, Braylon Russell and Rodney Hill have been better, and Jaquinda Jackson is simply the guy. Now, would you like to have him as an RB4 and as a depth piece? Sure, you would love to have him because he is experienced. He has over 600 yards in his career, but he just doesn't have the juice like the other three guys have. And like we said before the season, one of my strongest predictions was it would be blatantly clear that Jaquinda Jackson is the best player on the team, and he proved it again this weekend. So obviously, Dubinion being suspended sucks. Desmond James, that sucks. And then obviously, you had a guy be very selfish, and Jaden Wilson quit the team. And I'm sure he's regretting that decision right now because the team is actually winning and playing better without him. So let's start with obviously the Auburn game and what I took away from watching the game. Taylen Green is definitely a quarterback, like we always have said on this channel. He's not going to blow a lot of teams out, right? Because in order to blow teams out, you really got to hit explosive plays and you have to be very consistent in the passing game. Well, we know Taylen Green can hit explosives not only with his legs, but with his arm. But you also have to consistently hit chunk plays. And that's something that Taylen Green's just not going to do, right? His accuracy, of course, is very erratic and all over the place and so on and so on and so on. But I would also tell you that Taylen Green is a quarterback that's just going to increase the floor of your offense because he is so freaking dominant with his legs, right? It tires defenses out when you have a dual threat quarterback of his caliber back there. It tires also the defensive front when it comes to tackling Jaquinda Jackson, right? When you're a defensive lineman, you have to play a little bit more on your heels when a dual threat is back there because the threat is zone read, bootlegs, and so on and so on. Also, one thing Arkansas has done a good job of this year is running at a 12 personnel with two tight ends on the field. It makes life a lot difficult, a lot more difficult when you have a dual threat quarterback out there who really stretches you out, right? Pause. That's a major pause. But all the analytics show, when you look at a guy like Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and the great Lamar Jackson, if you have a truly special runner, which Taylen Green is certainly that, at the quarterback position, it increases the efficiency for all the running backs on your team. Okay. Let's take the last explosive Braylon Russell run. Well, the only reason that run went for an explosive gain is Taylen Green drew two defenders with them on the zone read potential pull, and he actually handed the football off to Braylon Russell, and he had a one-on-one opportunity to beat the safety in scoring. Okay, so give Arkansas a lot of credit. Bobby Petrino has been the best play caller in my mind in the SEC. He should certainly be the favorite in the SEC for the Broyles Award, either him or Tim Banks at Tennessee. And there's plenty others you could point to as well. Nick Sheridan has done a really good job in short notice as the offensive coordinator for Alabama. There's a lot of different guys you could point to there. Now, like we always do, before we get into some Texas A&M scouting, let's take some comments. As always, your Venmo, Cash App, Super Chat, I'll go straight to your comment if you, of course, throw some money my way. But I'm going to try and get to every single question. Let's go to Silver Sergeant. He was in here first. Hogs will beat Aggies by 10. It's all good, says Arkansas is definitely bowling this year. Cole, who's an LSU fan, wearing some of my PHL merch. Arkansas does more with less than anybody in the SEC. They work hard and give you everything. Sam Pittman is the right man for the Hogs. And you can't handle the truth, says TG is an overhyped running back. That is not Jaquindon Jackson's initials. That would be JJ. But this is the same thing that, and Cole's been with me for a while now. This is the same criticism that Jaden Daniels got. Now, is Taylen Green going to be as good as Jaden Daniels? No. But Jaden Daniels' his first year at LSU. I mean, it was every live stream that I did. We should move Jaden Daniels to running back. We should move Jaden Daniels to wide receiver. Okay. And I was like, y'all are idiots. Because if the throwing just gets slightly better with Jaden, he is going to be one of the best quarterbacks ever at LSU. And it turned out to be true. And I was pretty consistent with that. And like Taylen Green, Jaden Daniels had a lot of misses. Not as bad as Taylen Green, but he had a lot. And this always happens. A quarterback who doesn't throw the football a whole lot or doesn't throw the football accurately or tucks and runs, he gets the running back criticism for whatever reason. When he's out there winning games, you do not win this game versus Auburn with Malachi Singleton as your quarterback or Jacoby Criswell or whoever else you want your quarterback to be. You know, Criswell, of course, is at North Carolina now. That's how good Taylen Green was in this game. Now, was it more rough than good? Yeah. But I'll tell you this. He was the best quarterback on the field Saturday. It's not really saying a whole lot. You have to live with this, though. You do. And in many ways, let's just say Taylen Green wasn't as good of a runner. And let's just say he's someone like, I don't know, Will Rogers, if you will. It's a lot harder to scheme for a dual threat quarterback who can run in any which way and has a cannon arm and can extend plays. It's a lot harder to game plan for that. It sucks. Okay. I, from an LSU perspective, am dreading preparing for Taylen Green here in a few weeks, especially since we play Arkansas the week after Ole Miss. Taylen Green is good. Okay. Is his throwing at times atrocious? Yeah. Oklahoma State was a good example of that. And the UAB game was another good example of that. But when it was push came to shove, he closed out the game with some elite runs and then obviously had one of the best throws. What are they calling it now? Third in Birmingham? He had one of the best throws you've seen an Arkansas Razorback make to Isaiah Satania on the scramble drill. So I understand you calling him a running back or overhyped or whatever, but he's winning you football games, right? He's playing well for a first-year starter in Bobby Petrino's system. Now, am I going to say he's a top 5 quarterback in the SEC? No. I don't even know if he's the best quarterback in this matchup this weekend versus Texas A&M. But I'll tell you this, Auburn would trade their entire quarterback room right now for Taylen Green. No questions asked. No questions asked. Okay. We say hi to Unbiased Brim. Good to see you. Okay. Now, next thing, as far as an Arkansas Razorback perspective is concerned, what do you do with Lukas? All right. So this was asked to me not only by one, but multiple Razorback fans and a pretty prominent member of the Arkansas Razorback media. Okay, so they reached out to me this morning and said, "Hey, what do you think of Lukas's usage? Okay, what do you make of what has been a tough season for him? What he has less than 100 yards receiving through 4 games. All right, so as praiseful as I've been of Taylen Green while also being critical of him, let's talk about dual threat quarterbacks. Okay, especially ones that are truly elite as runners. Okay, so I feel like there's different categories of this, right? So you have dual threat quarterbacks, like let's say, and obviously this is an unfair example, but Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow wasn't really a dual threat quarterback, but he was a clutch runner. He ran for 370 yards. And in the biggest games for LSU that season, he had a bunch of clutch touchdowns in the red zone, right? Or Brennan Allen, for instance, right? Brennan Allen was, you know, more of a pocket quarterback. He wasn't nearly as good of a runner as Joe Burrow, but he was an effective runner in the red zone, right? So you have a pocket quarterback who can give you something in Brennan Allen, and then you have one that's a little bit more athletic, like a Joe Burrow, and then you have a dual threat quarterback in college, like a Tua, right, who had some longer runs, but was also more of a pocket quarterback. Then you get to the next tier, all right, which is very good runner. So that would be someone like a Josh Allen, if you will. He's not in the elite Jaden Daniels tier, but he's very, very good. And Taylen Green is in that next tier up in terms of explosiveness as a runner. Okay. He is just under Jaden and probably around a Jalen Hurts level runner, but probably a little bit more top end home run hitting speed as a runner. Okay. Now, what do we know about those types of quarterbacks? Well, there have been different studies done on this from a fantasy perspective. Okay. A lot of quarterbacks who run, not only do they not throw as much, their throws are also more concentrated. So when you look at a guy like Lukas, okay, is he the primary receiver in this Arkansas offense? No, that would be Andrew Armstrong. Now, is Lukas a very good receiver? Yes. But last year, he played with more of a Josh Allen at quarterback. Now, KJ Jefferson obviously isn't as good as Josh Allen, but KJ Jefferson is a very good runner. He's not Taylen Green level. Okay, he's just not. But he's a very good runner. Obviously, he's bigger. He's probably better at avoiding sacks. You all saw the whirling Derbyshire plays that he would make, right? He was a play extender as well. Even when you tear down just that much, he's going to throw more than what's, let's say, like a Taylen Green, all right, who's truly crazy fast. It would not shock me if he's one of the top 10 fastest players on the entire team. What happens is you don't throw a whole lot at all, right? You take a look at the UAB game. There was 11 completions in that entire game. 8 of them went to one player in Andrew Armstrong. So when you look at quarterbacks like that, they are heavily concentrated on one guy. Now, why is that the case? Okay. Why is it the case? Why does he lock in? Well, it's because he's not really a processor, right? A guy like Brandon Allen, or let's say someone like KJ Jefferson, they don't have the same elusiveness as, let's say, a Taylen Green. So they are less likely to take off and run at first glance. Okay. They're going to want to try and progress and move the football to different receivers, right? So this is essentially what Jaden Daniels was his first year at LSU, right? He was, if the first read wasn't there, he's going to tuck and run. And that's what Taylen Green is as well. And once again, he's not as good as Jaden, but he tucks and runs. So you have to factor that in. If Andrew Armstrong is not open, Taylen Green is probably going to tuck and run. Now, that sucks if you're a secondary option. But you can look at any quarterback who runs. Most of their volume is very concentrated to one and sometimes two players. Okay. So let's use another example. Let's say Taylen Green were to develop into a very watered down Jaden Daniels, right? Or Johnny Manziel or someone like that. And Manziel obviously is not as fast as Taylen Green, but he was a great runner. Well, you look at Manziel, his targets are very concentrated on Mike Evans and Ryan Swope. All right. Let's take another dual threat quarterback who's a very good runner in Jalen Hurts. Targets are very concentrated to who? A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Now, what happened in the game yesterday versus the Saints? Well, A.J. Brown left. Devonta Smith got concussed. So guess what happened? Dallas Goedert went for 10 catches and 170 yards. Okay. So Dallas Goedert, the only reason he went off is because A.J. Brown didn't play and Devonta Smith got hurt. All right. When you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, where the running game from the quarterback is such a big piece for what you're going to do, the targets that you actually do get oftentimes are concentrated on two players. More often than not, it's just one. Kyler Murray is another good example of this. Kyler Murray, when you look at the fantasy numbers or you just look at the production, during the Kyler Murray era, most of the only guy that really would go off is DeAndre Hopkins. And they had other good, like number 2 and number 3 kind of players. It's just how that stuff normally is. So Luke Haas is not playing bad. He's not. He's being used a lot as a vertical clear out guy. So he runs a vertical and there's digs that run behind it, or there's different route combinations that are being run. Okay. He's also being used in the blocking game. And he's also, quite frankly, been missed a few times. Okay. All of that comes into who Taylen Green is as a quarterback. So I've gotten a lot of Lukas questions. I did think it was interesting in the crunch time reps, they took him out of the game and they rolled with Var'Keyes Gums and Ty Washington. Okay. So this is bad news for Isaac Tesla, who is a good player. Isaac Tesla is an SEC caliber receiver. Okay. Tyrone Broden. And Tyrone Broden was absolutely dismantled last week. Absolutely dismantled. Tyrone Broden has not had a bad season. I'm sorry. Did he drop that one pass down the sideline to UAB? Yes. Did he slip on a Taylen Green target that would have moved the chains versus UAB? Yes. But he has been also very unlucky. He's gotten open. It's just when you have a quarterback like Taylen Green, the ball is just not going to be thrown as much. And in theory, if he's taken off and run, that means on that drop back, it's not a throw. So you're losing volume, and most of the targets are going to Armstrong. That's just who Taylen Green is as a quarterback. Now, if you're an Arkansas fan, you would like Taylen Green to play another year, come back next year, and then maybe as a passer, he becomes better. All right? But for that to happen, it will take a lot of work. It will take a lot of Taylen Green looking at himself at the mirror and saying, I need to be better. I need to grow as a player. All right. Now, why do I say that? I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. I think he does. Or at least my sources on the Hill tell me that he works hard. But it's hard to get that out of your system. It really is, playing this style. Now, once again, you can win a lot of games this way, but you do have a ceiling. Your ceiling is capped when you're this limited as a passer. Okay? So let's go to unbiased brim. And you are right. Tyron Broden has 1 catch out of 14 targets. Now I can't give Broden a pass. All right, so let's go through some of these targets. Oklahoma State game. He was targeted into the second half or into the first half. His foot was in bounds. They do not challenge it. Okay? If they challenge that play, Arkansas is probably kicking a field goal, and it's 24-7 going into half instead of 21-7. That catch was ridiculous. It looked good to me. All right, he had to adjust. Taylen Green didn't throw the absolute best ball, but it was still a good ball. They didn't challenge it. If you challenge it, first down, and that probably increases the chemistry for Broden. Okay, so let's go to another target, UAB game. Tyron Broden running a dig in the back of the end zone. Taylen Green overshoots him by 10 yards. One of the worst red zone misses I've seen. I also understand why he did it, because quarterbacks get spooked throwing digs. They just do. If you're not comfortable as a passer, a dig is a quarterback's worst nightmare, because if you overshoot it, it's probably going to be a pick to the safety just sitting back there. You see it a gazillion times. Broden is catching a touchdown if the ball is thrown well. Okay? Those 2 catches changes your 1 catch on 14 targets to 3 catches on 14 targets. Okay? Now, like I said, he should have caught that ball versus UAB down the sideline, and he shouldn't have slipped on the 1 target versus UAB. I get that. All right? Has he been unfreaking believable? No, he hasn't. But it's hard as a receiver to get rhythm when you play with a quarterback like Taylen Green. That's that's basically what we're all discussing. I just don't think he's been as bad as people have put him out there for. I mean, I've seen him get absolutely crushed. And I understand he's a year 6 guy. He should be out there dominating. But, I would tend to think he is going to have some positive regression. Okay? Now I'll let you follow up here. He is not using his height properly, and he isn't maximizing his catch radius. Also, I don't see him fighting for the ball, and at his size, I just can't excuse it. And once again, he should play better. I'm with you. I'm just saying he should not be getting destroyed the way that he's getting destroyed. All right? And if there is someone that does Arkansas content weekly, I feel like I would be critical of him if I truly thought he was playing terribly. I'm not going to sit here and say he should be all SEC. But I think some positive regression is going to happen. Okay? I think so. James says Tesla would have made those catches. So James is saying, look, I don't want Broden to play. I want Tesla to get those snaps. Well, he might have a point. Tesla's also gotten a little unlucky on a few different grabs and penalties and all of that. I don't think he's played terribly either, even though the numbers aren't there. Okay? But, honestly, Taylen Green, for the most part, is playing well. And even though he's throwing very inconsistently and erratically, I think well is a fair way to describe him. I think he's probably in tier 3 of the SEC quarterbacks, right? If you have Quinn Ewers in tier 1, Jalen Milroe in tier 1, Jackson Dart in tier 1, Carson Beck in tier 1, Garrett Nussmeier up there, Nico. We'll see. I think 2 quarterbacks that are around the same in terms of how they played up to this point will be playing against each other this weekend. All right. Now, let's talk about the point spread. So last week, I think this game was at 10.5. Then it got down to 5.5 today, and now it's at 3.5. Texas A&M over Arkansas. Woo Pig from LA. I like LA. CJ, Woo Pig Suey. Okay. KJ's had a good year at UCF, right? I didn't see what they did this past weekend. They might have been on a bye. But that TCU game was nasty from KJ. The comeback. I'm telling you, that dude has been in so many close games. All right. Now, what did I tell you this past week during last week's episode? And we'll get into this here in just a second. Okay. I told every single person in the state of Arkansas, from Jonesboro to El Dorado to West Memphis, I want the small town festival that I need to attend this year. I DJ'd last year at the Armadillo Festival in Hamburg, and that was so much fun. Shout out to Caitlin, Kristen, the whole crew there. Great time. Great time. All right. Also, I heard last week, McCrory, Arkansas. All right. I learned that there is a fellow Arkansas media member named Curtis. Saw him on Twitter. Don't know Curtis. Shout out to Curtis. He said a few of you have sent me tweets. I think Philly Moose sent me tweets. He is from McCrory. And I learned about the Mosquito Fest in McCrory, Arkansas. Okay. So you guys have got to let me know, which small town Arkansas festival do I need to attend this next year? Okay. And if it is safe for me to do so. Okay. Because festivals can get ratchet. They can get really ratchet real quick. Oh, man. I have done comedy at some sketchy festivals. I've DJ'd. I would love to just go. Yeah, it's Curtis Wilkerson. All right. I saw Philly Mood tagged him in a tweet. And then Curtis is from McCrory. Didn't even know there was a McCrory, Arkansas. And I love 2A football. 2A is just the best form of football in the state of Arkansas. Okay. So I need to know where that next festival is located. And let me know where you're watching from. Let me know. Okay. Let's go to dropping ingredients for the goods. Are you a chef? He says, I know we have great receivers. They just got to get better at creating separation. Okay. So you know what makes a great receiver is creating separation, right? So look, Tesla very clearly has the best hands on the team. It wouldn't shock me if he had the best hands in the SEC. All right, I mean, that guy can snatch. Okay. He can flat out snatch it. But separation. Okay. Separation's tough, man. You know, ask Kevin Bacon, man. He can only get 6 degrees of it. Separation is hard. And that was a great dad joke. You guys know it. Separation. Now, coming up after this, I actually got booked today to DJ a wedding in Junction City, Arkansas, state champions. There's some 2A Dragons for you. Coming up after this, where am I leaning for Arkansas versus Texas A&M? Okay, Let's go. Book your 360 spin booth experience today with Zion Imaging. Yes, that's my buddy Jaron Thomas who started this venture years ago. And look at the smiles on these faces. This state-of-the-art photo booth is so incredible. I work in the wedding and event industry, and anytime I see a 360 photo booth, it takes your event, whether it's a reunion, a wedding, a conference, no matter what it is, it takes it to another level. Give them a follow on Facebook. Book them today. There is a special deal going on now where you can get up to 40% off. This is all the info. Give them a call today, 318-469-4265, or go to Zion Imaging. That's XYAN Imaging.com.
I think joy and happiness and doing things you like is important.
My favorite thing is sports cards. When I'm not on YouTube, I am building my collection. And when I started, I wish there was a sports card strategy show.
He wasn't necessarily going to be a first-round pick before all this Heisman buzz. Now they're talking about him being a top 5 pick.
Paul Hickey and the team at nooffseason.com personally helped build my Jaden Daniels collection, and they're looking to do the same for you. Just check them out on social media or nooffseason.com. All right, we got Little Rock and Connecticut in here, Effingham, Illinois, Huntsville, Alabama, the Watermelon Festival in Hope. Let's go, man. Let's freaking go. One of my barbers actually drives from Hope to come cut my hair. He awesome dude. Awesome dude. Okay. But yeah, shout out Curtis, man. Shout out. Toad suck. NYC and LR. I love the Apple, man. Freaking love New York City. Love it. Now, I actually am leaning Arkansas over Texas A&M. I will also say Texas A&M is definitely the team I've watched the least out of all the SEC teams. My main focus on the SEC channel has been Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Texas, right? Also do a lot of Georgia stuff as well. Now I got all my hair, man. Literally, I just cut it short. I can grow my hair out, man. I just wear a hat. I'm happy with my head of hair. Knock on wood. You just wished, unbiased Brim, that you can look like me. Okay, I mean, there are so many other college football YouTubers that said, "Man, I wish I can look as good as you, man." And I get it. I understand. Like, this is peak human physique right here. But overall, obviously, Texas A&M took care of business last year. Weird game. Obviously, you remember the third quarter, Snacks Johnson had the pick 6 on the screen. But honestly, the difference in that game last year was Bobby Petrino. His play calling was really good. Okay. Ironically, Dan Enos, believe it or not, had some good play calls in that game. But Bobby really cut Arkansas up with deep crossers to Evan Stewart, who's not at Texas A&M anymore. Max Johnson was a quarterback who's completely different than Marcel Reed. But Bobby was the difference. And I understand, like, there's so much focus around Bobby Petrino and the story, how ridiculous it is that he's even back at Arkansas really only a decade after everything went down. All right, a decade and some years, right? But the truth is, Bobby has been amazing, right? As much as we've talked about Taylen Green, imagine saying aloud, hey, your quarterback has been unfreaking believably inaccurate. But at the same time, you've really not had a bad offensive outing yet. Teams, doesn't matter how good their offenses are, they never, ever, ever play good in Auburn. Auburn is a tough-ass place to play. It's very loud, not only in terms of their fans, but their sound system. I know it's been over a decade since I've been there, but their sound system is piercing. Okay. It's a difficult ass place to play. And Arkansas came away with the W. And one thing that has been very impressive is the run play calling. Now, is a lot of this Jaquindon Jackson and Taylen Green? Yes. But with injuries on this offensive line, this group has opened up holes. Tough to do when you're banged up. But it doesn't matter. Jaquindon Jackson has come out and been an all SEC level running back. So it doesn't matter really how you slice it. Arkansas's run game has been really good. Now, defensively, pretty good season up to this point from Travis Williams. Okay. Some weird games mixed in there, right? UAB defensively, it was an issue. But Metcalf had one of the most legendary defensive back performances by any, honestly, SEC defensive back when you catch all those INTs. And a lot of those, I know some of them were right to him, but some of them were also really difficult plays. Okay. So really good stuff to have those turnovers. But Marcel Reed isn't going to have those same turnovers. He's a far better quarterback than Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown, as Auburn probably has the worst quarterback room in the SEC right now. So, Arkansas has been really well coached this year. They have been. I understand some are worried, hey, what if the UAB game is actually more of who Arkansas is and what they showed this past weekend versus Auburn? And that very well could be the case. But if you were to tell an Arkansas fan, hey, the first 5 weeks of the season, you would only play one true home game, and leading into Texas A&M, you would be 3-1. Every single one of you would have taken that. Okay? Arkansas really stacks itself against the deck with its home scheduling every single year. And the fact that they have a lot of games kind of backlogged here in Fayetteville is massive, right? And I think one thing that Arkansas fans are underrating about the Auburn win, let's just say Texas A&M happens and they beat you by 2 touchdowns, which is plausible, right? This is a back-to-back road game scenario. Could I see Arkansas laying an egg this weekend? Yeah. But the reason why the Auburn win was so critical is I still think that there's going to be enough fan buy-in for you to have good actual home attendances towards the back end of the season. Okay. So it's a weird place to be in if you are an Arkansas fan, because you're so excited about Coach Cal. You're so excited about the opportunity of having the program in all college basketball this season. And we know David Horns could be really good in baseball. Also, I saw Arkansas soccer team, the ladies pulling off an 8-0 victory versus Missouri. Maybe this is a golden era of Arkansas athletics after what was a terrible season last year, with your heart getting ripped out with baseball, the must stuff, and then of course, well, you know how football went last year. Okay. Yeah, Braxton and Clark would bring some depth back to Arkansas for sure. Now, here's what we're going to do. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to answer as many Arkansas questions as we possibly can. If you have not talked yet in the chat, please do so. I want to get to know every one of you. Also, let me know what you want out of the Arkansas film breakdowns that I do. Okay? Let me know. Is there any film breakdown you want me to do? We will have a Texas A&M video. If not, tomorrow, the next day. It'll probably be Wednesday, if we're being honest. But I might release it tomorrow. As you guys know, I've done an Arkansas preview film study for almost every game. We'll keep that going as well. Okay? One thing, I know a lot of Arkansas fans don't know me as well as like some LSU fans and some of my NFL channel fans. But if you guys have, I always do this at the end of live streams. I don't just want, 90% of it's going to be football analysis. But that's why I also throw in the small town festival stuff. Okay. Let's go to Rand. Like a Rand there. Where are we located here, Rand? Is that a oh, that's water in the background. So he's at the lake. So a lot of Arkansas fans can relate with that. Texas A&M should kill Arkansas. We turned the ball over 5 times. It got screwed by the refs, and the game was still close. Any team that's competent should beat them. We just aren't. Okay. So I'll answer this, Rand, because I'm not an Arkansas fan. I'm also not an Auburn fan. Okay. I also don't hate either program. Rand's in Seaside, Florida. There you go. Okay. So I know a lot of Arkansas fans are going to come at you, Rand, for your comment because they're going to say, hey, you have royally screwed us in the past with the referees giving Auburn a ton of calls. And they're going to mention the 2010 game. And then obviously, Rand, I think even you could agree the 2020 game is one of the worst calls in SEC history, and Arkansas should have won that game. Okay. But if we were to take that out and we were just going to talk about the bad calls in this game, okay, there was a roughing the punter miss that was pretty big. Right? Arkansas should have been able to continue the drive on the roughing the punter miss. With that said, Jaquindon Jackson in pass protection did tackle a guy. Okay, he did tackle the guy. And yes, you did turn the football over 5 times. And yes, turnovers more often than not have more to do with the offensive player making a mistake than the defensive player making a play. But it still requires a defensive player to make a play, if that makes sense, right? And if you save 5 turnovers, turnover margin is almost as important as turnovers. Arkansas also turned the football over. Okay? So I don't think the referee thing holds up. Does the holding call help you win the game if you're Arkansas? Yes, that was a pretty blatant hold, and it should be called. It should be called. Let's go to Mike and M, who's been at every one of my live shows. Once again, every Monday at 5 p.m., we are live talking Hogs. What is my stance on TG being the hospital quarterback? He does throw a lot of hospital balls. And when you throw late and inaccurate, receivers start wondering about hospital balls. And this kind of goes along with Paulie be serious. Okay. Carter, how dangerous do you think Taylen Green will become if better with this timing and accuracy? If I was Taylen Green, this is what I would do. Okay. And I'm giving him free advice because I've seen a transformation like this happen with Jaden Daniels. I would call every single quarterback coach you could think of to see if you can get Jaden Daniels as a mentor. I'm serious. Like, I shouldn't be giving you this free game because I'm an LSU fan. But if he really wanted to get better, he would do exactly what Jaden Daniels did, right? Now, what I would also say is it does take a lot of work, right? Like Jaden, it really is like a 5 a.m. guy. Like, I mean, he grinds his ass off. And he was also very reflective in every single interview he did, saying, "Yeah, I was good, uh, but I could be better." And that's why he's playing on Monday Night Football versus another Heisman winner tonight. He really worked his ass off getting better at the timing and the accuracy stuff. He also had Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and 2 first-round offensive tackles. But, you know, honestly, it's the accuracy and timing is probably not going to get fixed in season. That is really an off-season kind of thing. There's a lot of mechanical things such as like footwork, the direction of your front foot. You know, I do think Taylen, and once again, I'm not George Whitfield or Quincy Avery or anyone like that, but like they could break this down better than I could. There are times where I think Taylen puts too much weight on the front leg. And that could cause the ball to dip. It could sometimes cause the ball to sail as well. I mean, it's a lot. It takes a lot, and you also have to get out of your mind that you're going to go out there and win the game with your legs every single game, right? Sure, the Antonio Brown retweet is good for your social stuff. Never should an Arkansas or any quarterback try and hurdle somebody. That is a lunacy. Lunacy. Okay? Lunacy. All right. But I'll say this to every Arkansas fan. The likelihood that he's going to ever get that good is very small. All right. But if it does get slightly better, of course, it makes everything a lot easier. Right. I will never forget, though, how many throws he missed versus Oklahoma State. I mean, I really am still shocked, like, at how many throws he missed in that game, where he was the main reason you lost that game. Okay, now was he still good? Yes. Is he still playing the toughest position in all of sports? Yes. But it was an issue. Okay. It was an issue. Hey, call up Tom Brady. AP says, I have great advice. Transfer. Hey, I appreciate that, Michael. Obviously, Harold Perkins is one of my favorite players ever at LSU. But it does suck. All right, let's see. Hey, what's up, Bubby? That's true, Rob D. That's a good way to put it. But I would say this. I don't think you're beating Auburn if Taylen's not your quarterback, right? He really did some good things in that game. Yeah, right. Okay. So did Arkansas also get some 50-50 calls going their way on some spots and all of that and the interception? Sure, right? But this is how I feel, Rand, and I've evolved on this. I will always lean towards the guy making the play compared to not making the play, right? Like, if you make a catch and they rule it a catch or the ball kind of slightly bobbled when it hits the ground, I am more often than not going to give you that catch if they ruled it a catch, right? Like, I've gone back, and now that I've thought about it, like, let's say the Isaiah Bond play versus Georgia. I've changed my opinion on that. That probably should have been a catch, and they did rule it a catch. But initially, I thought the ball did move quite a bit, and it should have been incomplete. You know, it's very subjective. But from now on, I'm going to say, hey, unless it bobbles a lot, I'm going to lean towards giving it to the receiver or the guy or the DB if he's catching it. Okay. Michael, come on. Now let's be adults here. Let's be adults. So let's not get carried away. One game at a time. Yeah, you're not beating Tennessee. They're coming off a bye. Okay. You really think probably the best coach team in the SEC coming off a bye, is going to lose to you guys. Yes, you're going to be at home, but you're going to be playing 6 games in 6 weeks, right? And you'll be on, of course, you'll be back home, but you've had 2 consecutive games on the road, right? So Tennessee blows teams out. The Oklahoma game, man, they turn up the gas a little bit in that game, if we're being honest, and they still covered. Tennessee's nasty, y'all. I'm not just saying that because there's some Tennessee people in here, and they support me as well. As that is not a game I would be confident in if you're a Razorback. But what do I know? Yeah, they're still going to beat you if you beat A&M. Okay, I think you have a better shot in beating Texas and LSU. For being honest, I'm serious. Tennessee's just better than LSU this year. Texas is probably better than Tennessee, but it's probably not that big. And Texas is easier to prepare for than Tennessee. I'm not saying that makes them better or worse, but you'll get a bye week before you play both of those games. I think Tennessee is a terrible matchup for you. Okay. They did not barely beat them. Stop it. Stop it, Terry. Go watch the actual game. Go watch the actual game. Okay. It's important to watch the games. Don't look at a 25-15 score. That was a garbage time TD where Tennessee's quarterback was running to ice the game and he lost his footing. The field conditions were terrible. Tennessee has not played a competitive game yet. That game was not competitive for anyone that actually watched it. Yeah, Paulie, some of that's on the quarterback. Okay. But honestly, a lot of that, Sam does need to get that sorted out because that was kind of an issue last year. The good thing, Paulie, is it's not nearly as bad as it was last year. Terry, okay. Keep talking that talk, man. I'm not Tennessee or Arkansas. Okay. I have a lot of respect for both. Okay. They both have really supported me. So, I've gained a following in both of those fan bases because I try to be as objective as I possibly can about those teams. Now, do I have closer ties to Arkansas than I do Tennessee? Yeah, I do. Okay. But Terry, I'm starting to do a Tennessee show every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Tell Tennessee fans that. You get a chance to tell them. Tell that to their faces. Okay? It's easy to say that in front of a bunch of Arkansas fans, but they're probably telling Terry, hey, let's slow down. And the words of famous philosopher Country Wayne, got a little too much dip on your chip there, Terry. You can't handle the truth. I've disagreed with a lot of what you said other than that. Okay, there's probably some Arkansas bias in your comment there. You can't handle the truth, but you're actually telling the truth. This time, Gus Malzahn was a great coach at Auburn. But you had to go get Brian Harsin. You did the Herm Edwards voice. You play to win the game. Tennessee and Arkansas games are always crazy. Rankings don't matter. Okay. So at the Clint Sterner game, what other the Jason Witten game, of course, overtime. What was the last time they played? I got a Peyton card right here. Manning. He's my favorite football player of all time. All right, y'all. I am done. We'll see you next Monday at 5 p.m. Arkansas fans, I'll have a Texas A&M preview piece a little bit later. And tonight, Arkansas fans, if you really want to watch two quarterbacks, tune in for Washington and Cincinnati. Let's go. No super chats tonight. Last week, y'all are just throwing the dimes, the dollars and the dimes, man. And I'm a little disappointed. I needed more festivals. More small town festivals. Okay. I only got the Watermelon Festival in Hope. I didn't get Oil Town Smackover Festival. That's a good festival. But I needed some small town, and you guys did not deliver. You did not deliver. I want to find the smallest town festival out there. Okay. I love the Armadillo Festival. I hope they have me back to DJ next year. Loved it. Toad suck in Conway. I get down. I can go. I can get down for some toad sucking. That doesn't mean you can't find me something. For next week. All right. Let me try and do the most Arkansas thing. Okay. Next week there will be a prize. You have to tell me the most Arkansas thing alive. The most Arkansas thing that you can think of. Now, don't forget, if you're in the Fayetteville region, if you're in the Northwest Arkansas region, and you need your teeth fixed, come on, it's Arkansas. We can all use a teeth cleaning at the very least, but probably more. Sequoia Dental in Northwest Arkansas is where you need to go. They do everything. Cosmetic surgeries, cleaning. You want to get those celebrity veneers? They can do it. You want to get your teeth straightened out? They can do it. You need a floss job? They could do it. Sequoia Dental. Let them know Power Hour SEC sent you. And they might hook you up. Check them out. Let's go, Cross It. Chief Keen. Let's go, bro. I need to come to Cross It and come hang, man. Wait, what's a diamond grill? Oh, I thought you were giving me a small town place. That does sound like a restaurant in like a small town. Diamond Grill. But no, you're asking for the Harold Perkins Alvin Kamara grill, basically. Okay. Oh, you live in Vegas now? I was just there, man. Stayed at, where did I stay? Kisses sweeter than Tupelo, honey. What song is that? I don't even remember. Kisses sweeter than Tupelo, honey. Paragold. Hey, I appreciate that. Best film. I don't know if I'd say that. I do pretty good work. Also, we got a few Paragolds. Comment below a guest that you would like to see on our live show. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom. And tonight we're doing burgers. Let's go.